Welcome to the first edition of Ask the Oiler. Today is just myself, but in the future we could have my daughter Leah with me as well. So just a reminder, if you have questions for us, please leave us a comment in our comment section to the right side, the right column of our website, and we will answer your questions from there. So first we'd like to give you a little bit of background on how to navigate around our site. There are tabs at the top of the site. One of the first tabs talks about us, and there's a little bio on my daughter Leah and a little bio on myself. Gives you a little background of our lives and how we came about to be in this oily life that we now love. Then one of the other tabs that we have is called Oil Basics, and inside there are questions about basic questions like what are essential oils, what are they used for, how do I use them, and that type of thing. Then we have a tab that talks about oil safety, and we are constantly adding to that tab, so make sure you go back and visit that one. We want to make sure that you are safe when you are using your oils. Then we have a tab called Info Links. This is a really great tab. When you go to it, there is a link that will take you to a website called Oil Testimonies, and you can search on that website if you have a problem that you would like to address by using oils. So say that you have acne or you have dry hair or something like that. You can put that in the search and you can come up with all kinds of posts that people have put in what worked for them. So it's a good tool to use. Then there's that tab that we really like, and it's some of our recipes that we've started to put in. Recipes like Leah's moisturizer, we have a toothpaste recipe, and we also have some others in there. So go ahead and take a little quick view of that. And then finally there's a tab about Young Living, and there's basic information in there about the company. So we will be updating those tabs a lot. As we have more and more content on the blog, we will be linking a lot of the information to the area of those tabs. Let's say that we review or talk about the value of a certain oil. We will put that underneath Oil Basics, list the oil, and a link to that post, so it is easier for you to find. And then I would also like to show you where we do get some of our information. This is the big, heavy essential oil desk reference guide. And this is like 800 pages of oily goodness. Let me tell you, there's so much good information in here for you. It talks about how oil started centuries and centuries ago. It talks about how Young Living processes their oils and why they believe that they are so very pure. And so that is very, very good reading. But then it talks in one section about single oils. It talks about the name of the oil and then what it could be used for. And then there's a section on blends as well. And then another good area is called the Personal Usage Guide. And this area is where if you have an issue that you would like to try to address with the oils, this is where you would go. So like here's an area on fungal infections. Hey, light reading. So anyway, it goes in and it makes recommendations of oils that you could use, say if you were trying to deal with athlete's foot. So very good information in here, easy to use, index in the back as well. So if you don't want to lug this baby around a whole lot, there's a tiny little pocket reference that you can do, lightweight, easy to use, and it doesn't have as much information in it, obviously, and it has areas in it that do somewhat of the same thing. They talk about the basic oils and what they can be used for, and then there's a little usage guide back here as well. This happens to be my mother's book, and she has all kinds of little tabs in here, to help her remember about what she wants to look up. So the cost of this one is a little less too, but very good little book to have, easy to carry around with you. So if you want to share your oily goodness with your friends, that's a good book to have. Okay. So now I'd like to go on to some of the questions that we've received from some of our readers. And Leah, who's behind the camera, will ask the questions and I'll go ahead and answer them as best as I can.
All right, the first question that was given to us was, does weather affect the oils and how long does an oil last?
Okay, weather. To preserve your oil to its best, you want to store it in a cool, dry area. The oils do come in an amber bottle, and that's to keep sunlight from getting to the oil. But you don't want to sit your oil on the windowsill and let it get that sunlight on it, because that could break down some of the properties of the oil. I have heard stories about oils that some people have had for years, and they smell just as fresh as the oils you open up from today. And the second part of that question was, how long does it last? Okay, I said part of that, about that lasting for years. They're not going to go rancid on you. They don't have the kind of properties like a cooking oil would have. But the other aspect of that question is, how many drops are in that little bottle? So if you have a 15 milliliter bottle, that's approximately 250 drops. And when you're using your oils for application purposes, you're usually using between 1 and 3 drops. So that bottle of oil is going to last you a long, long time. Okay, next question.
So part of the first question that I think we should also talk about, does weather affect the oils? I wanted us to also talk about how the weather affects the growth of the oils. So, or not of the oil, but the growth of the plants that create the oils, and possible supply and demand issues around that.
Weather is a big issue when it comes to supply and demand. Valor, for one, uses blue tansy, and all you have to do is have a crop decimation of blue tansy and you're out of Valor for a little while. That's why when you have an oil that you really love, have a bottle in reserve. There are specific ones that seem to go in and out of stock a lot. Valor is one, frankincense is one. Sometimes you may have a drought in a region and frankincense may not do as well without as much water, that type of thing. So I hope that answered that question.
Why are there so many different fragrances?
Oh, well, that is a forked question. Number one, they're really not fragrances, although the oils do have fragrance. But they are really in a different class than of oil that's just for fragrance. Let's say you have the first distillation of your product, and that's what Young Living uses for their essential oils. So this little bottle of lemon, its smell is very, very fresh. It's from the first pressing of a fresh lemon. Other companies will press it 2, 3, or even 4 times, or they combine all those together to make a complete distillation. But it's kind of like a cup of coffee. You know, you put that little cup in your Keurig and you brew your first 6 ounces, and it's nice and strong and it's perfect. But the second time you put in the water into the cup, if you don't change your little Keurig cup, your product that you will get will be coffee. It will be just the same as it was before, but it's not going to be as strong. If you do that the 3rd time and the 4th time, it's still going to be coffee, but it's not going to be as strong. It's not going to taste right. It won't give you that same lift, like the caffeine lift you get from that first cup. So the extra distillations that you get are still 100% pure oil, but they are not necessarily as strong and as pure, as concentrated. So I think that's one thing about the fact that it's really not a fragrance. And then, let's see, what was the other part of your question there? You're talking about that's not a fragrance. Oh,
Yeah.
The fact that different than fragrances, each oil has constituents or properties in it that are good for different areas. Lemon, for example. When I open up the lemon and I smell it, it's very uplifting and invigorating, and it just makes you want to get up and clean house. Not, but it's really uplifting. Lavender. Lavender is very calming, so if you want to open up that lavender, it just gives you a very peaceful feeling. So the properties in each oil are different, and there are lots of oils. There's like almost 80 single oils and 80 plus blends, and they all do something a little bit different.
So basically what I hear you saying is that they're, the purpose of them is not just for a fragrance, it's for the results of things that you can get from the oil.
Right, right. I did not buy lavender to just put a little bit on a cotton ball and shove it in the drawer of my lingerie. I bought it because I wanted it to give me a sense of well-being, a sense of calm, and it's very, very good for healing up rashes or cuts or bruises and that type of thing. And it's also one of the really good oils that you can use on children.
So our last question for today is, how do I test to make sure I don't have a reaction?
Okay, so if you think you may be sensitive to an oil, and the oils have lots of different properties in them. So if you wonder, ooh, wow, if I put that on my skin, am I going to break out? There's a way that you can test it. You can take a small drop of that oil and put it on the inside of your arm. That's a real soft skin right there. And then just wait 30 minutes. If you don't have any reaction, you should be fine to go ahead and use that oil elsewhere in your body. If you do have a small reaction, then you probably still can use the oil if you dilute it using a carrier oil. And you can read more about what a carrier oil is if you go to our Oil Basics tab on the website. So, oh, and also, if you are a little bit sensitive, you can always use that oil on the bottom of your feet. Your feet are real tough skin, but the molecule of the oil is so small, it enters in at a cellular level, and that's the bottom of your feet is a real good place to be able to place the oils. And amazingly enough, it will travel from your feet throughout your whole body in just a matter of minutes. So I thank you for joining us for our first little video of Ask the Oiler today, and I hope you have more questions and can send us more. Talk to you later.